And good evening, everyone. ESS Empire State Sports proudly presents the Wise Guy Sports Talk Show. Your host tonight, Joey Ream, Dave Bartlett, and Pete Goslow, and our special guest, North Country Community College Saints men's basketball coach, Daryl Crist. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, Coach, we're glad to have you. As we do with every show, we got to get the COVID update. Where's North Country Community College men's basketball season stand right now, especially with the news that came out today that SUNYAC is officially shutting down the SUNYAC conference season in winter sports. So where do you stand now?
Well, obviously things are out of my hands. I saw that news and it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. I have not been told anything on, what the NCCC is doing or what we're doing. I think it's a domino effect. And what you're going to see is the SUNYAC went and did it. You'll see a reaction by the NCCC, and then our college will probably, obviously, we don't have students right now. So to me, I can't see us coming back this year.
And so obviously, Coach, do you work at the college as well, or you're just the head basketball coach?
No, I don't work at the college full time. I'm just a coach.
Okay.
So, I don't have my hand in a lot of things, but that's the deal that I got.
So in your situation right now, even before this announcement today by the SUNYACs, where do you stand with your team? Obviously, you're not able to be together anyway. Are you in conversations? Did you have an idea of what your roster was going to look like this season? If we're fortunate enough to have a season, where do you stand with your team right now?
Well, the approach that I've taken is I'm just kind of managing. I'm trying to manage a lot of different things, a lot of different people. I've been in contact with my returners and my incoming freshmen. And when we were told that we weren't going in the fall, we were told that there's a chance that we might go in January. So we just pushed everything back. I pushed everything back, timeline-wise, and just managing people. In constant contact. I got a bunch of guys down in Louisiana, and we've gone through 3 or 4 hurricanes down there this year. So, there's a whole lot of things that are going on. But as far as the team goes, we're just managing. We're staying in touch with each other. We're trying to keep each other motivated and connected. And I felt good about what we had coming back. We had a lot of returners that were going to come back. We only had 4 sophomores that left us last year, so we had a lot of kids that were coming back. And I think that we still will return a lot of people when we come back. We had a good freshman incoming class. We've got some in class, online, remote learning now. And I feel that they'll stay with us until we go, whenever we go. And that's kind of the approach I took is I'll manage everything until we get back where we need to be. And when they tell us we can go, we're ready to go. It's a solid process.
Did you say you had players from Louisiana?
Yeah, I got like 7 guys from Louisiana.
Coming to school at North Country.
Yeah.
How'd you manage that?
I know a couple of, a handful of coaches down in the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area, and we've been able to capitalize on the lack of JUCO programs down south and get those kids up here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you hand them a winter hat and gloves and a jacket when they get off the bus?
Well, not off the bus. September and mid-October is nice. They really love it. And once we get into the cold, I've recruited a lot of southern states, as far out as Texas, and the kids always are skeptical when they come in, but a lot of kids, they don't really want to leave after they're done, and they don't mind the cold, and they love our campus, they love our community, and it does get a little cold for them, and I do give them winter hats.
So, going to be a stupid question, Coach, and I'm sure we're going to have a few of them tonight. But I'm sure your scouting process is shot right to hell this year, as far as going and actually seeing people play ball. Obviously, so obviously, how are you going to look forward to the future when you can't do that in person?
Well, yeah, things have changed so much. Basically, every kid has video. I can't tell you how many self propelled kids will just send me workout video. I get video every day. I got kids playing pickup in South Carolina that we've got kids on our team that are part of it, but we also got incoming freshmen that we're talking to, and they don't really understand why New York is not open, and they're allowed to go to parks and play pickup, and but going in person for me is a little bit outdated. I've changed to totally computer-based recruiting, along with the phone and my contacts. But every kid has workout video, past high school video, post-grad video, wherever they are, they've got video. And it really comes down to developing relationships and trusting the person that is recommending that player to you, and working that, as opposed to going in person and seeing that they got 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. That's kind of how I go about it.
Well, Coach, when it comes to you're at North Country now, and this is your second term at North Country, and we're going to ask you your pathway here in a second, but just focusing straight on North Country Community College. What is it that drew you there, that makes you like that area, and that you're happy to be in that spot as the now men's coach at North Country Community College?
Yeah, like you said, this is my second time, so there's kind of a two-part answer. First part is I graduated graduate school and didn't get a teaching job, and had friends living in the area, actually working construction, and said, "Hey, come on up, we'll get you a job right away." So I took that and ran, and then I stayed in the area. I did do some teaching early on, and was at North Country in the late 90s, early 2000s, and things didn't work out at that point. I went to Blacksburg State. Things didn't work out there. Just always been in the area. It's I'm a New York guy, Central New York guy, and just I just like the feel of it. It reminds me of where I grew up, and trying to do the same things for the people that I'm around, that coaches and teachers did for me when I was growing up. So it's really what kept me here. And as far as trying to answer your question, getting back in the second time, it's Chad Ledoux. We're both living here, and we've got kids the same age. And he said, "Hey, why don't you come on over and help us when you can?" And so we started that again. And it's been great. The last 8 years have been, really giving back to the community, getting back with North Country, getting back with the program, and carrying what Chad took from me and he gave back to me, and it's just been a really good transition. It's great, great place to live and have your kids grow up and stay safe.
Well, you're talking to three guys that love that area. Dave did some time at North Country Community College, and Pete and Dave broadcast some North Country Community College games, some of my games that I usually take on Saranac Lake up there. Yep. On your campus every year. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen this year, but that's something my kids look forward to. We love going up there. So we totally get that community family feeling whenever we go to North Country. And I'm sure that's part of the attraction and draw for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been there. I mean, Chad was there back in the late 90s with me. Of course, Jared played there. Just the people that Chad was able to get when he was the coach and now he's the athletic director. So, he really guides us and provides, the substance behind what we're all trying to do. And it just carries through. And we just all try and connect and bring everything sport-wise, whether it's basketball or volleyball. We just try and connect it all together.
Well, Coach, you mentioned a little bit about where you've been, and I don't think a lot of people realize you went to Seton Hall, but and I was one of them. I didn't know that. It was Coach Roy that told us that. I didn't know that. So I'm really looking forward to.
Rob,
go ahead.
Stories?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to your pathway here, but obviously when we get to the Seton Hall part, I'm pretty sure all three of us will have some Big East questions for you. So yeah. Go ahead and let us know where you grew up and obviously your college days and the pathway that got you to North Country this time.
Yeah, no, I grew up in Holland Patent, New York, just 10 miles north of Utica, Section 3. Section 3 athletics is big. I played football, basketball. Stopped football my junior year and focused on basketball. I was able back then to be picked up by an AAU team out of Syracuse and really provided me an opportunity to play with the better players of Syracuse and travel. And it wasn't like it is today. But we were able to go to tournaments and do well. Played with guys like Jason Buchanan, who played at St. John's, Dorsey Levens, who was actually a dual scholarship guy, but he chose Notre Dame football, and I think he finished at Georgia Tech and finished his career with the Green Bay Packers. And really, did well in high school, got recruited, had a lot of options, ended up at Seton Hall in the Big East. I always wanted to be a Big East player. Syracuse recruited me early and dropped off of me late, which was totally acceptable. I had a good relationship with Coach Bay and actually Bernie Fine. Not that good of a relationship with Bernie Fine next year. Played in the Big East, which I did. I wanted to do for 4 years, captain of the 93 team, Big East champion multiple times. After that, I went to Lemoyne College. I graduated, went to Lemoyne College, worked with Scott Hicks. We had a successful 2-year run, was making no money, and went to graduate school at Oswego State. And kept my hand in basketball. I had a little basketball camp that was called Dreams Can Come True Basketball. Graduated grad school, and like I said earlier, didn't get a teaching job, and moved up here to make money. Taught in the Saranac Lake school system, substituted. North Country picked me up full time. Spent 5 years with them trying to develop a program. It was hard back then, it was a lot different. And went to Plattsburgh, and then stepped away for a little bit. Got out of education, started my own business, 2 businesses, and then everything comes full circle. So it's, I coach the youth team in town. I work out kids, basically 2nd grade to 12th grade for the high school. So I'm just really trying to do as much basketball as I possibly can, and just give back to, the people that did it for me, and really, we're trying to go 100% full bore as long as we can.
All right, so you got recruited by Coach Boeheim, and you end up with Coach Carlissimo.
Yeah.
PJ. You got to talk a little bit about playing for PJ. Played all 4 years for PJ.
Yeah.
I mean you're talking to guys, and obviously you grew up in that time too. But I mean, the Big East was, you couldn't wait to watch Big Monday on Monday night, and I can think back because I remember when Coach Roy mentioned you playing at Seton Hall, and then the time frame. As soon as he said that, I'm like, boy, he must have been on that team that absolutely obliterated Syracuse in the Big East championship game, like 103 to like 103 to 70 something, and
yeah.
Oh my goodness, I remember that game was over as soon as it tipped. I mean, but talk a little bit about those Seton Hall days. Because that was back. Seton Hall was on the map. Coach Carlissimo, just before he took off for the NBA. I mean, he obviously made himself a name with what he did at Seton Hall.
Yeah. I signed early in the fall of '89, and I just I had been recruited since I was a freshman in high school, and we had constantly narrowed it down, and we knew we were Big East people. If we could get an offer from the Big East, we would probably go Big East. And I was in a point guard class with Michael Edwards, who ended up at Syracuse. I think it's Michael Phelps. First name may be wrong. He ended up at Providence. Bobby Hurley, who went to Duke. I went to Seton Hall. I believe it was Khalid Reeves, who went to Arizona, who I met as an 8th grader. Alex Davis, I believe it was Davis, was an 8th grader when I met him, ended up as a point guard at Ohio State. So we had all these guys, and everyone was jockeying, and it would switch every week depending on who you're talking to. Coach Cal recruited me to go to UMass with assistant coach Billy Bano, who's now an assistant in the NBA. So, like I said, Syracuse kind of was, hey, we're going Michael Edwards, and we talked, and that was probably a good thing. But then Coach Carlissimo was still in the mix, and he actually came to Holland Patton for the in-home visit, and he got lost coming out of Utica in farm country. 3 miles out of Holland Patton and 3 miles out of Barneville, and both neighbors were farmers. So he's up driving through these roads in between cornfields, saying, "Where in the heck am I?" Finally, he found us and came in and made his pitch, and we liked him. And it wasn't too long after that they offered and we accepted. And he was a good coach. He was hard. We had a lot of hard coaches growing up, or I had a lot of hard coaches growing up, so it was not much different. We didn't know at the time that they would make that run to the Final Four in the championship game, and they graduated a lot of seniors and actually didn't have a lot coming back. So as incoming freshmen, I wouldn't say we were necessarily mentally prepared to be, an incoming class. We were just in the championship game last year. because I don't think our returners were that strong, to take care of us. And we struggled the first year, which probably kind of helped us because we developed, Terry DeHare developed. They recruited really well. We got Jerry Walker off of what they used to call Prop 48 on his sophomore year. And that's really, we had a 3-year run that at that point in time, Seton Hall had never seen.
Well, mentioning, go ahead, Pete.
No, I read somewhere that Seton Hall and all the years but PJ was there and their program has been together. The '93 team was actually the best team that was ever to be on that floor. A lot of things that went. You guys were a number 2 seed, if I remember. I'm trying to remember all this going into the big tournament.
Yeah.
So why don't you do that for us? Take us into the tournament and how exciting it is to get into the big show. I mean, it's amazing for us people just sitting here at home because we don't miss a minute of March Madness because we're basketball freaks, but you lived it. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that experience, our listeners would love it.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's first one, again, the first one, my sophomore year is, you expect it, but you don't. I think we were like something like 22-9, and we won the Big East tournament. And back then, the tournaments were the deal, right? So we broke it out. You wanted to be the regular season champ, you wanted to win the tournament championship, and then you wanted to win the NCAA tournament championship. That we broke it out into 3 phases, and it's really, really exciting, and it's really, really hard. We got shipped out west my sophomore year, and we were on the road, I believe, for something like 24, 25 days straight, including the Big East tournament. So the 93 team, I think we had won a bunch of games in a row. And we were really playing well. We rolled right through the conference tournament. And then the big thing back then is the turnaround. So the tournament would end on Sunday night. You usually come back to campus, or Sunday afternoon. You come back to campus late Sunday, up in that class Monday, practice Monday afternoon, and then the next day you're shipping out on flight. We went to Orlando, and we thought we had a good draw. The 2 years prior, we didn't have a really good draw. We ran into in '91, we ran into Arizona in the Sweet 16, and then UNLV in the Final 8. That was the year UNLV was undefeated. We were up 2 at halftime. And again, that was the stretch that we were gone for 3.5 weeks at a time. We're up 2 at halftime against Larry Johnson, Stacey Ogden, all those guys. And we just couldn't hold it. They made a run. I've never seen defense like those guys play. And I was lucky enough to hit a jumper, I believe, on Greg Anthony or the other off guard there. I forget his name, but I think it was Greg. We'll call it Greg Anthony for now. The next year, because we're a good team, but we didn't get a good seed, we ran into Duke in the Sweet 16 down in Philly, and that was the game before the game of Duke and Kentucky. So we thought we kind of got a little railroaded that way. And then the 93 year, we thought we had a better seed. We liked our path. We were going to run into a talented Florida State team if we got through the first weekend. And we didn't make it through the first weekend. We were looking ahead to Florida State. So it fell apart for us real quick against Western Kentucky. We had a couple of pros on the team, actually.
Well, that's awesome. Some great stuff to hear, and some memories there. UNLV. I mean, so how many times were you trapped in the corner by Stacy Ogman, going, "How the hell am I going to get a pass past this guy?"
Yeah, well, one of the things that PJ would do is that he kind of would let the starters or the first 6 or 7 kind of handle things, and then when things would get a little haywire, he'd walk down the bench and say, "Be ready." And you're sitting there watching this run by UNLV going, "Oh my God, I am not ready.
I am not ready.
Don't choose me." And he comes down, I don't know what it got to, 7 or 9 points, 12 points there. I don't know at this point. He go end this. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to end this? You know, it's Larry Johnson and all these guys. But that's kind of what he would do. He'd walk down the bench and put the fear of God into you and you know, be ready to go stop this. Yeah, so those guys were good. That was the best team I've ever seen.
So Daryl, if I remember right, you guys, I think, went 14-4 in the conference that year for the Big East. Who was the one that was you guys always prepared for a little bit more than the other, though, as far as you remember?
Well, we hadn't beat Syracuse. I'm not quite sure if we beat them that year or my junior year, but we had never beaten Syracuse. And we beat Syracuse one of the years. I can't remember now which one. You know, but the preparation was the same for everyone. It was incredibly detailed preparation. You know, the scout team ran the other team's offenses in practice, and everybody, you know, if you called a play 2, everybody knows what play 2 is. I mean, and you know what they're trying to do. You know, if you're trying to run Ray Allen off of a double stagger down screen, but you know, you had to prepare for everyone. You know,
Yeah, as Joey said, we're Big East guys. We grew up watching the Big East. There was not a game that was an easy game back then. There was no such thing as an easy game. It was balls to the wall, and everybody was getting pounded out there on the floor. So I'm sure my question was horrible there, but I'm just trying to figure out in the back of my mind exactly what team stuck out in your mind, rather than any other one.
To me personally, it was the big boys. It was Syracuse, Georgetown, St. John's. And of course, the metropolitan area, we wanted to beat St. John's. We played them at the Garden many times for their home game. You know, it started with Louis Carnesecca. But, you know, like you said, it was every team had a pro on it. You know, I don't care if it was from Providence, and eventually it was Miami, Pittsburgh. I mean, my God, those guys were so good under Paul Evans, who was, you know, at St. Lawrence. You know, in every game, that was the thing with the Big East, is if you thought you played a big Monday game against Georgetown and you weren't going to show up Thursday night against Providence, well, then you were going to get beat. And that's what happened.
Well, you know, Pete brought up, you know, you went over the three trips to the tourney, but talk a little bit too, though, about the Big East tourney, because I mean, that's something as Big East fans, you can't wait for that. Madison Square Garden with all the teams there, and obviously you had the joy of winning it. What was that experience like to be able to do that at Madison Square Garden, winning the Big East tournament in the heyday of the Big East?
It you know, be honest, I mean, it's sick. You know, I mean, when I was a sophomore, you know, you get your tickets, and my dad was a high school coach, and he'd come down with my mom, my sister, my brother went to West Point. They'd come up with 3, you know, he'd come up with 3 of his friends. You know, the first run that we went in, we made 2 buzzer beaters to advance, and I remember I think we beat Pittsburgh to play Georgetown, and it was after my dad's season, and I looked down, and my dad's giving the big, thimble to the Georgetown. And oh my God, he's gonna get killed. But that's when the team started talking, and it was a festival, and we took on, that was my morning final year, and both teams charged because there's a hard foul and there's a standoff, and thankfully no punches were thrown or anything like that. It was, hey, we're standing up to you guys, and we're not going anywhere. I mean, it was just Big East basketball. It was everything that you guys think about. We were there. I mean, we win it, and my brother and his other buddies, they charge the court, and it's like, I mean, it's mayhem. Of course, it doesn't help that they start selling beer at 12 o'clock, so it's like, and if you had the late game, it was the best. If you had the late game, I mean, the garden would fill up. Everyone had left and gotten dinner and come back, and it would just be a buzz. And you could feel it. I mean, you could feel the pressure. It's not easy, but the experience with it's just climbing that mountain. It's we took down Georgetown. We stood off. We charged the court. Hey, we're not back down. We took them down, and then you got to take down the next team. It's not like we just said, just because you beat Georgetown on Friday, well, you got a semifinal against whoever, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, St. John's on Saturday, and then you win that one. Well, you got a championship game on Sunday, and it's just incredible to be able to live through the old Big East that we all grew up on.
So, go ahead, Dave.
And it's one of those things. Any kid that plays high school basketball and then goes on to play in a major, in a major conference in a big team. But I always just find it such a cool story when somebody comes from I live in Old Forge, so okay. I know where Holland Patton is.
Yeah.
Holland Patton's this big, so a kid that comes from a tiny little school, where Pete and Joey and I went to small schools. You don't ever think about somebody from a tiny little school, getting recognized first of all, and then actually making it into, a big conference, a big team. I think that's it's such a cool story, to even think that it can happen,
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dave. It was, and that's why I founded that basketball camp. Dreams can come true,
Yeah.
And, I had a lot of people that, good people that coached me. I played all kinds of sports, and when it came to basketball, things went the right way. I was a hard worker.
Well, yeah, obviously.
That's the thing is you just got to work, and then you got to know what you're good at, and then you got to know what you're not good at. And if you're playing Kenny Anderson, don't do what you're not good at.
There you go. Sounds simple.
He dropped 50 on me in the Empire State game. So
you held him to 50, you mean?
You held him to 50. That's great.
So Coach, one of the things that amazed me, especially when I watched the 30 for 30 on the Big East, the Requiem for the Big East, and one of the things that amazed me with Dave Gavitt. Now, obviously, Syracuse has the Carrier Dome, but the rest of you guys, he got you guys to start playing in the NBA arenas within your town. So did you play a lot of your games at the Meadowlands? And then obviously you must have played a couple of times. Did you get the opportunity to play at the Boston Garden? Did you get the opportunity to play at Landover Arena and against Georgetown? Did you play in the big facility, the Spectrum? Did you play in the Spectrum?
Not playing the Spectrum. We played down at Georgetown in Landover. We played at the Meadowlands, Never made the Boston Garden. But yeah, no, Gavitt was he's brilliant. He just because they started all of those schools really are Catholic, little Catholic schools, and even Seton Hall, our practice facility was this small gym. You know, it's bigger than Plattsburgh, but I mean, it was a small gym. I mean, it wasn't as big as Utica College. Set up a little bit differently. So yeah, we only played like 3 or 4 home games on campus, and then everything over at the Meadowlands, which it's challenging going into an NBA arena that's not your home court. It's not on campus. But when you win, things change. We were able to fill it. We'd have 19, 20,000. After our sophomore year and going through, we filled it most nights. Nothing like Carrier. When that thing plays, when that fills up, it's something else. But we played at all the old places. Georgetown played once on campus at St. John's, and then everything else at St. John's was at Madison Square Garden. Played in the Seattle Superdome. That's where we took on Arizona and UNLV. Trying to think of any other good ones. I don't know where Duke beat us. It might have been the Spectrum.
Well, you said the next game was Duke. That was the Duke Kentucky game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Spectrum then. Yeah.
Mark there then, Joey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate to tell you the reason why I remember that, but I just remember that. So, wow, that's awesome. So I got to ask you, as your kids come in to play for you at North Country Community College, they know the history of their coach? They know where he played? Do they know this stuff? Do they ask?
They really don't. It's funny. They don't think there's any separation anymore. They believe they can do it, which is good, and they really don't think I could have done it. So it's like, okay. And I don't know. I mean, you gotta really try to understand kids, and they may not want to openly talk about it, or they may not openly want to give that respect to their coach. I've had kids over the years that want to talk about it, but kids kind of seem like they feel like that's what they should be doing, and a lot of kids don't understand everything besides basketball really is what gets you there. So, but I mean, we joke about it. I tell them I can still take them, but that's not happening.
That was one of my next questions, though, Coach. Do you run it all with the team, or shoot it all with the team, or no?
Well, I'll shoot with them. I got no problem shooting. But no, I don't really run with them. There was a point last year where I jumped in, and I not bragging, but I took a team that was safe down 4-1 and took them to 5-4. And really just tried to focus on basically communicating, switch, or I got this, you get that. And they scored 4 straight points. I don't score, and I can't take anything over anymore. But really just the old school kind of communicate, get in defensive position, get in offensive position. And of course, I was winded because I'm trying to coach and play and really over exemplify what I'm trying to do. So I blew the whistle and I stopped. I said, "You guys understand what I just did?" And well, yeah, we scored 4 points. Well, no, let's break it down. Why did we score 4 points? So I jump in from time, but I'll shoot with them. I won't bet on myself all the time, but pretty darn close.
Well, I know you got that nice shooting machine up there. We have one here at Sailor and Central, but I see yours because it's they keep it. It's pretty visible in the gym whenever I've gone in there. So how often you put yourself on that thing? I love grabbing mine. I'll beat the kids to practice and take it out and shoot myself. You know, you do that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I love to me, it just clears my brain. You know,
Yep.
I mean, it balances me and it gets me back to where I need to be. But I break it out. You know, I bring my younger son over and we do it. Um, but you're right. I mean, 10 minutes before practice, 10 minutes before anyone is getting ready, I'll get in the gym and do something. It's something I've done since I've been, you know, I mean, 40 years now. So I think it's such mentally a good thing to do. The shooting gun has changed so much. It's incredible.
Oh, without a doubt, having one of those is so handy.
No
Just
more
be able
excuses, right, Coach? No one to
say
read.
that again.
Oh,
Say that again.
I said no more excuses. You know, I mean, I don't
Mhm.
have anyone to rebound. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we're not there yet, but I've heard of some schools that are starting to do it up here. You know, you can't do open gyms the way you've always done open gyms, but you can have 4 to 6 kids, space them out. And I'm like, hey, yeah, this is perfect. This is where a shooting machine's going to come in handy, you know, because you just need yourself and a couple 2-3 basketballs in that machine and have at it and go for as long as you want.
Get
So,
up 500 shots in no time.
oh yeah,
It's
without a
incredible.
doubt.
It's incredible. Yep. And it used to take us 500 shots. I mean, that would be a solid hour to 2 hours, you know, and these kids can take care of that in 25 minutes. You know, it's incredible.
Yeah, and for those that don't have a shooting machine, don't know what Coach and I are talking about. You know, this thing, it's not. You can shoot them standstill. You can have that thing firing and making you move on the run, so you're catching passes on the run. I mean, it's a workout. You can turn that into a workout. And the one thing I love about it, it's going to force you to put arc on the ball with the net in front of it. So I just think it's one of the better. It's probably one of the best basketball inventions that ever came about when it comes to shooting the basketball on your own.
Yeah.
So, well, and consider yourself lucky to have one. I mean, not everybody has them, and you know, I'm lucky enough to have one, and I think it's just a great thing. So,
yeah.
Well, Coach, we're getting close to winding down, but really glad that we finally got you on. Talk a little bit though before we do say goodbye. You got to talk a little bit about you know, obviously NCC is close to our hearts, and we've had Chad on, we had Jared on, we had Coach Roy on. We even had. Do you have a connection to Coach Conowitz? Because we had Coach Conowitz on.
Yeah.
So you know, you're a long line of legendary North Country College community college coaches now. Talk a little bit about those guys, the impact and the help that they've given you.
It's just family. You know, everyone is kind of willing to give of themselves to the program, and when people have been in charge of the program, it's gotten a little bit better. And then, as any good organization is, you use each other. So if you're good at something and I'm not, why should I not go to you and say, hey, how do you do it? How do you do it? Even Coach Dumont. I mean, we take these bus rides 7, 8 hours, and we're constantly going back and forth. What do you do against this? What do you do against this? And it's just a really bunch of good guys that have the same focus. They want North Country to be competitive and do well. And we've been able to do that. You know, and I just think that if you were to look at the lineage of the coaches at North Country in history, it would be hard to say that there's many better Region 3 junior colleges that have a better history than what they do. And really, what I want people to embrace this. Not you guys, because you guys get it, you know, but we want people to understand not a lot of schools have this happen. And I think it's pretty special. to have a group of people that are so connected and really just want the best for that program.
I know for a fact every time we get up there, like Joey said, it's like a second home to us. We're always treated well. I always call Chad and say, hey, we'll be up for a game tonight. Things are in place when we get there. No problem going over to see Coach Roy or any of the girls on the scorers table and getting what we need. Everybody's to us. So like I said, it's home to us, and we really do appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's because we were all brought up the right way, and you're trying to run a well-run outfit, and if you're going to host something, then you host it, you do it the right job, as evidenced last year when Jared won the title at home. I mean, if you were to ask people around North Country 3 years ago, could we host a regional tournament? There's only 4, 5, 6, 7 people that said yes. And it was the Chad, it was Jared and Rob and Kent and the score table. We said we got it, and they pulled it. That's what you want. You want that home court advantage. You want that major college atmosphere in your own arena. I mean, let's face it. That's at North Country. That's what I went through at the Spectrum, and that's what we all try and do, and that's the beauty of really working with those guys.
Well, I know we're all looking forward to getting back there sometime, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea. Yeah. No, I shouldn't say that. We all have that idea. I'm really I know I'm gonna miss it, because I already know that we can't come up and play our game if we're lucky enough to play Saranac Lake and have a season. I already know that we can't come up and do it at North Country, but here's hoping that I stick around long enough that I can get one last game up there before the end of my career, because I do. It's one of my favorite Saturdays of the year is to go up and play Saranac Lake there, and it's just a great day. I think your court is one of the best day gyms. I love the lighting in there. I just think it's a great day court, and so I always have enjoyed it. And Coach, we can't thank you enough for coming on. Glad that we finally figured out a date and squeezed you in. Great. This is a great hour. Again, Pete and Dave and I, we're basketball junkies. I wasn't expecting. When I found out you played in the Big East, I knew we would talk a little Big East, but that was even better than I thought. I really enjoyed that. So I'm sure Pete and Dave did too, because that brings back a lot of memories.
Man,
I
miss those days. I miss those days a lot.
Yeah. Anytime, if you guys need fillers, I love talking hoops. So if you guys run into a wall here or there, or if you want to, circle back around every few months, I got no problem. I've seen you guys and kind of know of you guys, and, again, I'm just like you guys. So if you want to, do your thing and then say, hey, let's just talk. I'm up for it. Whatever you guys.
We'll hold you to that.
Yep. Don't be
Except
surprised.
for that guy from Old Forge,
Don't be surprised, Coach, that when we do go up there and we do a game, we might have you throw on the headsets for a little bit, and we'll talk to you then too.
Yeah, I love it.
Sounds good.
Love it.
Thanks a lot for coming on, Coach. That's going to be it here tonight on ESS Empire State Sports and the Wise Guys Sports Talk Show. Joey Ream, Dave Bartlett, Pete Goslaw, and our special guest, Daryl Crist from North Country Community College, saying good night, everybody, and stay safe.